All right, what's up, fam? We're gonna try this one more time. Been dealing with these technical difficulties all week in my recording studio with that software, and I think it kind of trickled over into my OBS studios for this podcast, right? So let's get straight into it, y'all. This is not going to be a super long one. I'm not playing any clips. We're avoiding copyright. We're avoiding anything that could go wrong. Yeah, I mean, so let's get into it. Tonight's episode is episode 5 of Ether's World. I mean, episode 5, and we're going to be talking about should lyrics be used as evidence in the court of law. And basically, what y'all think about it, I'll give y'all my take on what I think about it as a whole. There's many moving parts to this scenario, many moving parts to this question. You know what I mean? If we feel like lyrics should be used or should they not. So I have a hard stance on it. But of course, you know what I mean, I'm a rapper, so I'm going to have a hard stance on this. So I'll tell you why my stance is what it is. And then, of course, we'll open up and kind of speak on it on a broad type of spectrum and then zero in on what I feel about it. Make sure you guys are using the comment section. That's why I put it in the song. Listen to the theme song, y'all. I'll let y'all know the comment sections, that's all you. So make sure y'all are using the comment sections when y'all hop into the room. If you want to say hi, it's a must. Make sure once you hit the room, you hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if you've been enjoying the content. I think we're going to really stay hip-hop. We're always motivational. I mean, so no matter what, if you're looking for motivation, this will be a place to come to. But we're going to really be sticking more so hip-hop. That's what I do. That's the type of content I need to be creating. And I got to niche down, y'all. But within that, we'll always be talking motivation. We'll always creep into marketing. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. There's finances. So there's a lot that goes into hip-hop that most people, as far as being an independent, that means you're an entrepreneur. So it's still open to all of these different types of nuanced conversations within the entrepreneur world. So let's get straight into it. Right after the intro, we're going to talk about if lyrics should be used in the court of law. But first, check out the intro.
It's a vibe, it's a vibe, it's a vibe, I'm going live. It's a vibe, it's a vibe, it's a vibe, it's a vibe, right, I'm going live. Ether's world, Ether's world, Ether's world, sit down with your girl. Ether's world, Ether's world, Ether's world, sit down with your girl. Sit down with your girl and just relax. Put it on the table while I'm showing y'all these stats. Facts. Stand tall, never laying on my back. No, then I spit the truth and in the comments y'all react. Trending topics, we got options. We gon' learn and we gon' pop shit. All the shit that's going on around us, damn, it's never stopping. Give you what you want, no, I give you what you need. Sit down at the table, take a seat, it's time to eat, yeah. It's a vibe, it's a vibe, it's a vibe, I'm going live. It's a vibe, it's a vibe, yes it is. It's a vibe, you're right, I'm going live. Ether's world, Ether's world, Ether's world, sit down with your girl. Ether's world, yeah, that's me. Ether's world, Ether's world, what? Sit down with your girl. Go grab a drink, get real comfy, sit down.
All right. All right, fam. Let's see. I'm going to mess around real quick, see if we can get a better sound so I'm not screaming at y'all the whole time. Oh, shit. All right, so I can't do it while I'm on. So, let's get straight into the topic, guys. YSL, we're not really going to touch on that too much because it's an open case. I mean, I don't believe in any type of snitching, no dry snitching, so I like to stay away from anything of the sort. I mean, if anything's open, it's ongoing. Let's let them have their, their fear, their day in court. As far as, of course, we know, jurors are not supposed to be basically, they shouldn't be paying attention to the media. In fact, when you're going through the jury pool or the jury pool and you're picking, that's basically what they're asking. Like, are you aware of the case? Do you know about these guys? Have you heard anything about it? So it's not to say that the jury is even going to be privy and keeping up with anything along the lines, but just based on karma, I just don't think it's right to necessarily speak too much on the case. So what we're going to speak on instead is just the topic of lyrics being involved in court cases as evidence as a whole. What do you think about it? Should it happen? What's your take? And I'll give you my take on it. So, first of all, let's just break down. I got a lot of different points. So let's just break down. Okay, we got the YSL case with Young Thug and Gunna going on right now. Now, this is the hot topic case. This is what's on the news. This is what everyone is talking about at the moment. And when things are so, blown up, we can tend to forget that history does repeat itself. So basically what I'm trying to say is this is blown up in such a manner as that, like, someone who's not privy to rap, or someone who's not even old enough to, like, been around the block to know what's up, wouldn't even know that this has been done countless of times. Like, it's almost being displayed as if this is the first time they're using lyrics in a court case, damn near. And I mean, not to say they're saying that, but to the average onlooker who knows nothing about hip-hop or who doesn't study or follow it deeply, and you just see this case, you may not know that this has been done. At least, I think they said when I was doing the research, over 500 court cases have used lyrics. Now, there are super big ones where it's happened. So, at this point, we can kind of omit Thugga and Gunna from out of this and just, is it YSL or is it hip-hop as a whole that has been on trial basically since, not the inception of it, because hip-hop started off as basically like a nod and damn near a spin-off to disco music. You know what I mean? The hip, the hop, the hippie to the hippie to the hip, hip, hopper, you don't stop, the rocker to the baby, boogie set up, jumps the boogie to the biggie to the rhythm beat. All that was dance music. So that was disco, that was fun, that was party. Then later on, once you move out of that party era, you get more into the real talk era of it. Still a lot of dance, still a lot of flash, but that's where you get more so in the Cool Mo D, you know what I mean, broken glass everywhere. If it ain't about the, just don't care, you feel me? So you start to get more of that real talk, more of the grittiness, more of even the neighborhoods being shown, where they're not shooting the, like, Rapper's Delight was literally shot inside of a disco club. I mean, Cool Mo D, broken glass everywhere. I mean, that's where you're getting a scene of the broken glass on his neighborhood street. So that's where this era is where you start to get a closer look into the rappers' lives and to just where we come from, like our specific area, right? Then you move on from that era, you get more into the conscious / gangster rap. But I'm not even going to say conscious and gangster, because NWA, as gangster as they were, NWA was a conscious rap group. I mean, they were still super conscious. Like, if you go listen to just the titles of their songs, I mean, Straight Outta Compton, it was a biographical song, just letting you know what's going on in Compton. Whether it was the violence going on in Compton, whether it was the drugs, but that was a political type of movement. NWA was like political. It was just on some hood political. Then from there you get into the glitz and the glamour. So it was around that NWA era when niggas with attitudes the bass, that was one of the main things. That's when it was around that era where you start to even get the sticker being placed on the albums. Yeah, I mean, and this is across the board, so I'm not saying that all of music wasn't affected, because rock groups, yeah, I mean, even with the lyrics being used, like at the end of the day, when you're in certain fields, and you're all up under the one umbrella. So even if, yes, we know hip hop is a black art, so when you're using lyrics specifically on hip hop music, that means you are specifically targeting black musicians. But it does not mean that musicians as a whole don't take offense to this, because it's going against your freedom of speech. At the end of the day, any artist of any sort is going to take offense to anything like this. That means, like one of the examples I kept seeing when I was doing my research that lawyers have been using is actually they've been using Bob Marley's song, like, okay, I shot the sheriff, but I didn't shoot the deputy, right? What they're saying. Now remember, Bob Marley, black, Caribbean, yes, but not hip hop. So no one looked at those song lyrics and said, we better investigate Bob Marley and see if there's some dead sheriff out there, because he said he shot the sheriff. Let's go speak to that deputy guy. I mean, maybe he has an in on the case. You feel me? That's ridiculous. That would be ridiculous to think. And if anything like that happened back in the day, it would have been like, people like, whoa. So the same case was made. Another example they were using is Edgar Allan Poe's book. Damn, I can't think of the book. But a famous ass Simpsons episode actually uses it, and it's about the Raven. And basically in this book, what is it? Oh, Telltale Heart. That's what it is, the Telltale Heart. And it's about the Raven, and there's a heartbeat. This go read. It's a poem. Is it a short story or a poem? This shit, we read it in school in elementary. I always banged with this story in school, like, oh, this is hard. I always banged with that. And I think Edgar Allan Poe chopped his ear off, which was strange, but I always banged with that story. But anyway, in the story, the man keeps hearing a heart. Now, come to find out, I believe I haven't read this in years, I believe through the story, we're kind of, as the reader, thinking that this heart is just kind of like in his mind. It's not really there. But come to find out, the heart's actually in his house. Yeah, I mean, which is proof of a dead body. But no one ever thought to say, let's investigate Edgar Allan Poe because of this poem. So as an artist and practicing our free speech, we do have a right to our own artistic approach, our own artistic voice. Another great example, y'all, Eminem. Now, Eminem is hip-hop, but he's not black. But Eminem is hip-hop. Eminem respects hip-hop, too, because he is hip-hop. So, at the end of the day, would they start investigating Eminem to see if he ever tried to harm his mother or his girlfriend, his baby's mom? No. Would they investigate to see if, his daughter was ever in harm? No, because that's ridiculous. So, when we're looking at these certain cases, as far as lyrics being used in court, we know Snoop, his lyrics were used against him for the song Murder Was the Case. 6ix9ine's goofy ass, his lyrics was used against him. And he was goofy, but his case is important because I almost believe it may have spawned what's going on today. So, 6ix9ine, Bobby, his lyrics was used against him and countless other people's. So at this very point, or at this very moment, there is a bill going on that's trying to get passed, and of course, none other than Jay-Z is spearheading this bill. And he's, pulling support from a lot of other artists a lot of other musicians to basically stamp their, their mark of approval on this bill, where it will stop the use of lyrics in court unless these lyrics directly implement you and tie you to a crime. So it can't be all my life, I had to fight. So I went and I got the knife and got the light, that right, it blew you up and got on sight. Like, no, I mean, now are you saying, now during my research, y'all, I saw some ridiculous cases where, yeah, a rapper, and these are not known rappers, and it makes sense. So that's why we got to be careful what we're listening to, careful what we're watching, because for one, we got to know a known rapper got lawyers. No one who has a half a brain who's making money is going to implement themselves deeply into a case. So this is another reason why it's really reaching for straws when you're using lyrics. Because if you're using lyrics against someone who is literally, a big guy up there, why the hell, what's his motive to really put himself out there? I've been watching a lot of Heisenberg theory. And unless you're a sociopath or a psychopath, you're not going to do anything like that. Why do I say that? Why am I bringing up Heisenberg? Because Heisenberg got himself caught up. He did it many a times with his own delusions of grandeur, wanting to be the man, wanting to be basically God himself, wanting to be Heisenberg. So even when Hank is sitting down at the table and he's finally, he's talking about Gail, who was the chemist that Walt was working side by side with. Gus had Gail basically was setting up to learn everything from Walt White, Heisenberg, so Gus could ultimately kill him. Now Gale, he don't know none of this. Gale's basically a simpy guy. He don't really know. But that's what it was. So anyway, long story short, as Hank is talking to his family about the case, saying, yeah, this guy, he's looking over the research, or basically the chemical makeup, I guess, of the crystal meth that Gale is cooking, right? And he's like, yeah, this guy's a genius. Heisenberg's ego can't take Gale getting the credit for his work. So he says, from what I'm looking at, because he's a chemist, everyone knows this at the table, it's his family. What I'm looking at looks like a man who's merely copying the work of a genius. Now, how would you know that? How could you just look at some notes and be like, this looks like he's copied? Come on. No. So, and Hank didn't catch on at that moment, but I'm sure when Hank caught on, these were all flashbacks that led him up to your Heisenberg. So I don't believe that maybe 1% of these guys is goofy enough to do that. Most of them are not going to put anything like that in the case in the first place. And no one would. It doesn't make sense. A lot of lyrics that they're pulling from, it's not going to be direct. Now, as I did my research, like I said, a lot of lower level rappers, a lot of guys who, ain't up there, who are just trying to make it, yeah, they giving themselves up. They singing, they telling, they ratatouille out here. I did this at this time, at this location, check the spot, here I am, took a picture. That's what these fools is doing. Don't do that, y'all. And this is really, at the end of the day, as we're discussing if lyrics should be used in court, no, they should not be used in court, but this is a nod to the reality of it. They should not be used in court, but they are being used in court. And even with Jay-Z and all of his ambition towards getting this bill passed, just like marijuana, it will still be something that's not passed federally. He's getting that bill passed in New York. You know what I mean? So this case that's going on, for example, was in Atlanta. If you live in Colorado, you'll still be subject to this lyrics in court. So be careful if you are someone who's going to be trying to express yourself. Don't give yourself up. Also, this is a disclaimer. This is not to be insensitive to anyone who has faced any type of violence and then has had to hear about it in a song. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to sit here and act like that's right. No, I'm not. I'm not co-signing that, and I'm not saying that's the thing to do. I'm not doing that at all. But when it comes down to court and law and litigation, we have to be careful of what we're allowing to be set as precedents. I mean, when something, and that's why it's important that I brought up at the very beginning of this, that this is not the first time. See, the first time lyrics were used in court, and I'm speaking hypothetically right now, but the first time lyrics were brought up in court, I'm sure it was a little more sketchy. I'm sure it maybe didn't even hold in court. I mean, but once that first time that a lyric got presented in court and it held up, as far as not even saying it was the deciding factor, because that's one thing we have to remember. We're not saying that the lyrics, like when we're thinking court cases, evidence builds. So the lyrics, in my opinion, because I'm not a lawyer, I watch a lot of law stuff, I guess. You know what I mean? But I'm not a lawyer. But evidence is used to build upon evidence. So, in my opinion, the lyrics are more so a part of a character type of thing. You know what I mean? Where, yeah, we're going to read you these lyrics. Not only, it's almost like a double edge. You know what I mean? Or they're going for a win-win, to where it's like, depending on who we got on this jury, if we got a 60-year-old woman from Nebraska, a 40-year-old man from, I don't know, wherever, right? Just people that, because remember, we're fighting, so the prosecution and the defense are trying to get their jurors just right. So depending on what you're looking at, the win-win could be, yeah, if you take these lyrics as literal and just say, yeah, he did it, he said he did it from the lyrics, then great. But even if you don't go that far, as far as the prosecutors is concerned, if we can even just display these lyrics to just show you that this human being is capable of this based upon their lyrics, just to show this as a character flaw. Look at the inhumaneness of this person's character based upon their lyrics. So that's what we're dealing with. Now, let's go back to the first time it was presented. Probably didn't go so well. Probably was a stab in the dark. And I mean, like, no, we're not going for that. But the very first time that this was actually presented in a court case, and that court case was won, that set a precedence for even the continuation of using lyrics in court. So when I speak about, this ain't the first time this has happened, this is about, 501 that we on with this. That's why. So we have to pay attention, and that's why it's important. And like I said with the disclaimer, this is not to spit on anyone or disrespect anyone who's been a victim to getting hurt or their families being murdered, and then they have to listen to it in a song. This is not to discredit anyone who's been put through that, but it is to uphold the law. It's to make sure that we're aware of the laws that are going on, because it has to be fair. It shouldn't, especially when we start getting into more of the fact that lyrics are not being used, or art in general, because when we go down to Edgar Allan Poe's book, that was not a song. But this criteria is only being placed on young African Americans, young black men and women who are trying to make a living. So we're going to get further into this point of it, right? So is it the rappers that are on trial, or is it hip hop, y'all? You know what I mean? We are, as of 2022, I believe it started around 2020, maybe, probably before then. And this is the thing, it's on paper now, but probably before then. But we're the most influential genre of music. Hip-hop is. Hip-hop's the most influential. Hip-hop's the most beloved. It's the most popular. So remember when pop music, I mean, in the 90s, rock went on a crazy run, probably from like the 60s to the 90s. I'll say from like the 60s, even early 50 or late 50s, probably, because Chuck Berry, I mean, he was basically the grandfather of that. I mean, then you got Tutti Frutti, oh Rudy, Tutti Frutti, ah. Then you got Elvis and them when they crept in with they stuff. I mean, and then of course the Rolling Stones and all that started coming in. But with Muddy Waters and them, that's around like 50s and all that, late 50s, early 60s. So rock did have a hold on it for a long time until probably when my guy gets in here and just takes pop and really puts a stamp on pop. That's Michael Jackson. When he becomes the king of pop, then pop really had a stronghold on the genres of music. Pop was at the top of this thing for a long time. From the 80s all the way up to like early 2000s into like the 2010s. 2015, I want to say 16, 17, 18 is where you really started to see hip hop's always been influential. Even the pop music. I mean, Michael Jackson's putting Jay-Z, Biggie on tracks. You feel me? So rap's always been a force to be reckoned with since its inception, and it's always been growing. Now hip hop's to a point where it is the biggest genre of music. It is the most beloved. It has even, I believe, the most sub genres inside of it, with there being hip hop, boom bap, trap music, mumble rap, emo rap. I mean, there's so many genres inside of it. It's huge. I mean, when you turn on the TV, when you're looking at Gap commercials, you're hearing hip hop music. You're looking at any commercial, a food commercial, they got a hip hop person. I forget what commercial it was with the guys for It Takes Two to Make. I mean, there was two rappers. They were on a commercial. It had nothing to do with hip hop, nothing to do with it, but they're on this commercial. You feel me? So hip hop is bigger than life. What does this mean? Not only is hip hop bigger than life, it can be counted now. See, the thing with the internet, the thing with social media, YouTube, all these tools that we use every day, is that it allows us to really have a true metric. If you're watching, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit say what's up in the comment section too, guys. So it allows us to have a true metric on what's going on. Like I said, hip hop been running it. We've been had a stronghold on the game musically for a long time, but we didn't have these different platforms that could clearly show it to us in real time. You feel me? So now we have these platforms where we can clearly see the kid in China posting hip hop videos or dancing on TikTok to a hip hop song and doing it really, really, really good. Like you're studying hip hop. You know what I mean? Like everyone across the world is into the culture, which is a great thing. That's what hip hop was never necessarily meant to stay within. I mean, with anything that you build, you do want it to branch out. So that's what hip hop's doing. It's doing its job. It's branching out. Hip hop is about love. Hip hop is about community. You know what I mean? And it's about having a good time. So that's what hip hop will continue to do. So, but we have to remember that we've had a bit of poison interjected into the culture, and a lot of that has come by way of even sales, profit margins, and even when we talk about social media, as great as it has been for the marketing and the exposure of hip hop, it's also been kind of crippling as well. We got certain algorithms which are dictating just basically what type of music is definitely going to hit for a fact. So it's almost would behoove you to not make a certain type of music, because you know if I make it, it's going to hit because the algorithm is showing you every day what's hitting, right? So that's where it kind of gets catch-22ish. But as far as hip-hop being the number one genre in the world right now, and with it moving out of the hands of big business and more so in the hands of the independent artist or the creative itself, where the average rapper, whether you're a signed rapper or once signed rapper, because at the end of the day, this is what I do. You know what I mean? So I'm constantly studying rappers. So I see a lot of rappers that had major deals who don't have major deals anymore. You know what I mean? Who are doing it independently. I see a lot of rappers who did it independently for so long that they were able to leverage their their hype, their social media numbers, and their buzz to actually get a deal that was worth something, where they get to obtain most of their masters, where they're walking away with deals that are in the favor of them, instead of in the past being more so in favor of the record company, right? So number one, music, hip hop, and also the creatives within the culture of hip hop are getting a fair chance for the first time. And like I said, this is not necessarily like this law and the lyrics in court. Yeah, this is pinpointed towards blacks. That's what it is, because you're only targeting hip hop. So it's pinpointed towards us because you're only targeting hip hop. I mean, that's what we do, hip hop. But as far as artistry, musicianship, all musicians been getting ripped off. I mean, Taylor Swift was one of the biggest country musicians, and then she segued into pop, and she got ripped off. She had to fight for a catalog, and I don't believe she won that battle. I don't believe she did, y'all. So this is the music industry, as all musicians know, especially if you studied the game. If you're really in this and you're studying the business, it's the only business where the business is ass backwards, where it literally makes no sense for you to, there's no profits in it, and it's getting worse slash better. Streaming, as far as the music goes, there's no real money in the music, but there's a lot of other money going on. So this is where we get political. This is where we're going to kind of go into the political side of this conversation. Hip hop being number one, more money than ever to garnish. Yeah, like I said, the music may not be worth as much because it takes what, 1 million streams to count as one single, yeah, or one album sold. So no, the music, but the ability to market yourself, the ability to market yourself and leverage your fame or your music or your talents, whatever that may be, into other streams of income is incredible right now. The leverage for you to be able to book your own venues, reach out with just your own management team without having to really go through the structures of the music industry, incredible. Something that no musician has ever seen. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, there are musicians that are in their grave. Like, my God. Now, I mean, Frankie Lyman's in his grave. Like, whoa, this is crazy. If you ain't never seen the Frankie Lyman story, go watch it. Yeah, I mean, but that whole, I can't think of the dude who was behind him, but that whole label was a debacle. Little Richard was up under that label as well. So, yeah, Little Richard was up under that label as well. The Platters were up under that label. Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers. And this guy he actually went down for embezzlement because he started scheming. He wasn't even just scheming his artists. He ended up surpassing that and started scheming the actual, like, distribution companies as a whole. So, Levy, that's his name. Something Levy. That's the boss who was in charge of that record company, who was dealing with Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers, the Platters, and my guy, Little Richard. Go look his story up on how he went to jail for embezzlement and all that. But yeah, it's the only business that's ever been backwards. But now, musicians have a chance. And even more, black musicians who forget music at every turn of building economic and generational wealth. We have been systemically cut at the roots. I mean, of course, you're going to have different races, different cultures who maybe are not privy, who haven't done the research to really understand what it is. But there's even black people who haven't done the research to understand what it is. But if you do the research, then you know what happened I mean, with Black Wall Street, you know how that was burnt to the ground. You know about several different ventures of us, just even with the patents as far as that goes when we were enslaved. And I mean, us coming up with inventions and the slave owners going out and hurrying up and getting patents because that's even how the patent office was invented, based upon slaves inventing things. Yeah, I mean, this was one of the funniest things, and I find humor in a lot. So, sorry, that's why it's Ether's world. That's why it's the title, because you're in my world now. Now, not a dictatorship at all. Share your opinion in the comments section. But we are here to have fun and loosely talk about shit. We're not really here to be offended by things. You feel me? But one of the funniest things I ever heard of, that's probably why it was funny, it's probably Dick Gregory. I think Dick Gregory is the one who said it. Comedian slash activist. He passed away in like 2020. But Dick Gregory, brilliant mind, and he was a writer for Richard Pryor. And of course, another writer for Richard Pryor was from the Chappelle Show, Ask a Black Guy, my other guy. So these guys ran in crews. I mean, they was cool. But Dick Gregory basically said, like, think about it. What incentive did the slave master have to make the slave's job easier? So things like the cotton gin, when those things were being invented, do you really think it was the slave inventing it or the slave master? Would it be the slave say, I'm tired of picking all this damn cotton? There gotta be a quicker way to get this shit done, right? So that was a great point, and he cleverly and funny. Yeah, I mean, it was funny how he put it, but I said, damn, he's right. Like, why would he care? It doesn't matter. Yeah, I mean, that's going. So basically, it goes that that's even why the patent office, the U.S. Patent Office, was even invented in the first place, so they could make, reward, and claim these inventions that were coming out of the oppression of our people. Yeah, I mean, so at the end of the day, we have been financially, systematically oppressed since we've been here. Music is something that, in hindsight, it's not the worst thing you could do. I mean, it produces freedom, and not only does it produce freedom, it allows you to speak your point of view. When I'm sitting here making my songs, I'm able to convey whatever message I want to convey. And it's up to the artist to either make it whatever message they want to convey. But one thing I'll say about Lyrics in Court is, if you're from the hood and you're black, then you're going to have a lot of messages to convey. Some of those messages may be deemed as negative. Some of those messages may be deemed as... Hold up. Yo, what's up? Okay, let me call you back. I'm on live right now. You want some time? Alright, cool. I'll hit you back in a little. Should be on like Facebook and YouTube. We're talking about... Yeah, it's not, we're talking about Lyrics in Court too right now. So it's on that wide, you know the case. Alright, I'll hit you back when I'm done too, alright? Alright, peace. Alright, guys, make sure. Alright, so, where was I at with this? Oh yeah, so, basically, at every turn, we have been, as a culture, as a race, systematically cut down from economic freedom. And especially when it comes to like building generational wealth. So that's why we have to kind of look at this. And I'm not going to keep saying a disclaimer, but when it comes to just the litigation of it, the legalities of everything, and U.S. Congress and just our own personal rights, we have to make sure that our civil rights are not being infringed upon. So, at the end of the day, when we see lyrics being used, but we don't see anyone else, it's just hip-hop, we have to look at that as, wait a minute, what is this? Is this them trying to protect American citizens? Or is this another play at stopping young black people from building generational wealth. Why do I say that? Not only is it a direct hit on hip hop, which we know is predominantly done by black people, black males predominantly. Not only is it that, but also hip hop feeds a lot of people. One rapper is feeding a lot of people. You know what I mean? It's not just one rapper. So we can account for one rapper. But then we got to account for that rapper bought his mom a home. That rapper is paying on his sister's tuition. That rapper is, yeah, I mean, brought a couple of his homeboys with him and gave them jobs. Yeah, I mean, Snoop Dogg, fun fact. Now remember, they tried to put Snoop in jail and they tried to use Murder Was the Case. That song came out a year. I'm going to say his trial was like a year or something. I don't know. Look it up on when the song came out or when the trial came up. But there's something important with that. But they did try to do this with Snoop. They used the song Murder Was the Case. Now, Snoop Dogg, he got off. He was found innocent. I was just watching something where they said Snoop Dogg pays his buddy. I'm assuming this is a friend, but he pays someone. Who cares if it's a friend? Someone is the luckiest person in the world. He's getting paid at the time, he was getting paid like, I think it was $50,000 a year to roll Snoop's blunts. He was his professional blunt roller. That's all he did. Who was it talking about this? It was a white guy, white comedian. Who was this? Oh, Seth. It was my boy, Seth Rogen. That's my guy from Green Lantern. Play Green Lantern? No, not Green Lantern. The Green Hornet. And a couple other things. Period, yo. Period. So, if he's paying him $50,000 and then in the same video, basically Snoop was saying like that was before the recession, like nah, inflation, so dude got a raise since then, so he's probably making like $65,000, $70,000. So at the end of the day, when we're talking about an individual rapper in court, we're not just talking about an individual rapper in court. We're talking about at least probably 20 to 30 individuals, and when we're talking about those 20 to 30 individuals, if you're paying a blunt roller $50,000 to $60,000 to $70,000 to roll your weed, then he's able to send his kid to school. So this is affecting a lot of lives. So that's what makes this case important, and that's what makes us have to ask, is it individual rappers that are on trial or is it actually hip hop that's been on trial? You know what I mean? So now let's see. Where else I want to go with this? Okay, so let's get on 6ix9ine's goofy butt. 6ix9ine's, he's one of the goofies of the goofiest. You know what I mean? When it comes to any of this. But what I will say, what I'm noticing with this is I feel like the 6ix9ine case was the segue to all of this. I don't know if it gave everyone the idea, and I'm not even sure where was 6ix9ine's case at. I think 6ix9ine's case was a New York case as well. That might even be what even started the crusade from Jay and them. Y'all gonna have to look that up. I'm just kind of speaking off top right now, but that might even be what started the crusade on Jay-Z and them to say, no, we got to stop and get this bill passed to stop the use of lyrics in court in New York. But like I said, even if that gets passed, it will only be passed in New York. So the 6ix9ine case, interesting because once again, it's one rapper on trial. Just one rapper, right? But like I said, we know it's not just one rapper, because one rapper, as we see, yeah, I mean, pays for a lot. It's supporting a lot of families. So the interesting thing with that was, essentially, it is still the same model. We're going to put one rapper on trial, whether it's Snoop, whether it's Bobby, whether it's 6ix9ine, whether it's Gunna, whoever it is, one rapper's going to go on trial. And then whoever is eating off that one rapper, they'll be affected. But in 6ix9ine's case, something super unprecedented happened that we as a culture never thought we'd see happen. And that was 6ix9ine got up there and actually ratted. Why do I say this was definitely a turning point? Like, if I was going to go in a time machine and want to stop what's going on right now to YSL, if I wanted to stop that, I would go back to that moment in time. You feel me? Marty, we have to go back to when 6ix9ine snitched on everyone. Because he told on many men, right? So, why do I say that was the segue? Because, and this is my humble opinion, Ether's world, you in my thoughts, you in my brain. But the reason why I say that's the turning point is because I feel like that's when they got the bright idea. Like, oh, we could take down massive people. That damn near was a RICO. It was a RICO without being a RICO. You know what I mean? Because they didn't formulate it as a RICO. But the fact that he kind of, it was so close to being a, was it a RICO? Look it up. I don't believe it was a RICO though, because it was 6ix9ine on trial. It wasn't like, let's just say he turned, but we're going to see the same thing though, even in this case. We're going to see some ratting going on because that's what happens in the RICO. But with that being said, I believe 6ix9ine sparked this off, even knowing that, because it's one thing for it to happen in the hood. I mean, if you're from the hood, you're probably not a stranger to the idea of a RICO. You probably seen a RICO go down from either a close or from afar. You know about someone who's been involved in a RICO. So, at the end of the day, on a lower scale, we know what happens when the RICO case hits. That's why they do it, because they're depending on bringing in the whole crowd, because you know there's going to be rats. When we round up 30 people, there's going to be 2, 3, 4, 5 rats, right? Now, the thing that makes this unprecedented is you wouldn't necessarily think that someone would rat with such a high profile, especially in hip-hop. Yeah, I mean, and pretty much no snitching is one of the main laws of just street culture, period. You don't snitch. So that was, I believe, unexpected by pretty much everyone. I mean, we didn't see that coming. So with that being the case, I feel like that definitely opened up the can of worms for this RICO case to get started, to be underway. Now, like I said, when we were dealing with a Snoop case, we weren't dealing with a RICO. That's what makes this very dangerous. It's like one lyric can take down 40 people. And then not even to get into the fact of ghostwriting. So are we even sure that these lyrics were even written by the actual rapper who's performing the lyric? You know what I mean? So when we get into the case of evidence, like I said, what this is, it's a catch-22. They're trying, it's almost like a double whammy. They're trying to, in my opinion, they're trying to hit everyone with, where it's like, at the end of the day, if the jury, if I spit a certain lyric, I want them all gone. So I hit them all raw. Yeah, you seen what I saw. Da, 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 da. Yeah, I mean, if I spit that lyric in court, first of all, I'm not going to say it in cadence. This is another thing that they're doing, too, when you watch it. They're saying all the lyrics dry as hell. So it's like, when I hit them raw, I want them all gone. Yes, I'm in my zone. Minds will be blown. Like, damn, okay. That sounds real scary. Yeah, I mean, so it's the context and what they're depending on, or what they're wanting to happen is, even if you don't take this literal, like, okay, you don't literally think that this person did perform these lyrics, it's still, evidence is used to build upon evidence. So it's still going to be used as something just to state this is the type of character of the person that we're dealing with. So it makes it all bad. It makes it all dangerous. And at the end of the day, we're going to have to be very watchful for what happens, because like any case, this is the first time a RICO has been conducted, and they're doing the using the lyrics. Actually, the lyrics, so we've already seen lyrics work in this case, because lyrics are what actually got his bond denied as well. A part of the lyrics were presented in that part of the case. So we're going to have to really watch, because if this is going to be a successful case for the prosecution, let's say they're able to make this stick, that's dangerous as hell, because now that opens up the can of worms for RICO's based off of lyrics. And no, this is the first time publicly as well. Let's not get it twisted, because I've seen this shit before too. So at the end of the day, if you're an artist, because it's fickle, because we're seeing the game, we're seeing the traps, don't fall into the trap. We do got to think, y'all. At the end of the day, we can't just be like, oh, this is unfair, this ain't right. No, it's not. It's not right. It's not fair. No, it's BS. But it is what it is. And until it's not that, we got to move with our head on a swivel, be a lot smarter. When I go back to the systematic system of it, like what it is for real, like with it being like basically white supremacy rolled up into an economic bow to keep us in a lower status, that's what it is, period. It's only targeting rappers, only targeting hip-hop, which is 95, damn near 99% done by creatives who are black, African-American, or Puerto Rican, you know what I mean? So either way, this is definitely to target our financial growth. Another reason, and I really want to stress this before I get off of here, on why it's so important that we need to look into this, is because this is one of the only times where, as an entertainer as a whole, forget color even at this point, it's the first time where you can really make some real bread. You can really go set up a tour. You can really go leverage your art and make something out of it. So it's almost like seeing the future and trying to stop it before it happens. You feel me? They know the potential of this. If you haven't noticed, you're seeing a lot more independent record companies pop up. You know what I mean? You're seeing a lot more independent artists leave labels, and they're getting hella backlash. You know what I mean? But they're leaving their labels because they know what it is. They know there's more money in it this way. And guess what? When that artist leaves the label and gets their bread their way, they're going to have more bread, and it's going to be more money to sustain their family and their friend group with. So let's start thinking chess. It's never checkers, y'all. This was another episode of Ether's World. I hope this one was good. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, hit the like button if you liked it. I'll be posting shorts of this all week so we can break it down into many parts. If you missed it, you can check me out on the back end. I appreciate you for tuning in. I definitely appreciate you, Tila, for tuning in, commenting, showing love. And I will see y'all next week, Sunday at 8. I'll let y'all know what it is when we get back. I mean, I have no idea what we're going to talk about next week. All right, I'm out of here. Peace.
It's a vibe, it's a vibe, it's a vibe, I'm going live. It's a vibe, it's a vibe, it's a vibe, it's a vibe, right, I'm going live. Ether's world, Ether's world, Ether's world, sit down with your girl. Ether's world, Ether's world, Ether's world, sit down with your girl. Sit down with your girl and just relax. Just put it on the table while I'm showing y'all these stats. Facts. Stand tall, never laying on my back. No, then I spit the truth and in the comments y'all react. Y'all react. Trending topics, we got options. We gon' learn and we gon' pop shit. All the shit that's going on around us, damn, it's never stopping. Give you what you want. No, I give you what Take a seat, it's time to eat, yeah. It's a vibe, it's a vibe, it's a vibe. I'm going live. It's a vibe, it's a vibe. Yes, it is. It's a vibe. Right. I'm going live. Ether's world, Ether's world, Ether's world. Sit down with your girl. Ether's world, yeah, that's me. Ether's world, Ether's world. What? Sit down with your girl. Go grab a drink. Get real comfy. Sit down.
All right. Next week, 8 o'clock. I'll see y'all then. Peace.